Hey guys, what's going on? So we have an album review for Putridity's Degenerating, Anthrophagical, EUPHORIA. Of course, if you don't know Putridity, they're a brutal death metal band from Italy, I want to say. This came out in 2009. These guys came out around the mid to late 2000s. And one of the most important bands, I'd say, in recent history of brutal death metal. I think if it wasn't for these guys, and of course earlier bands like Disgorge, a lot of the New Standard Elite kind of bands, the really fast blasturbation sort of bands, probably wouldn't be as prevalent, because while other earlier bands did that style, these guys took it to such an extreme, and I think a lot of bands kind of copy this. And honestly, this album is just like a brutal death metal fan's wet dream if you're really into the genre. If you're just a casual fan of the genre, you probably won't like this, because it's really fucking extreme and very niche, but if you're really into this kind of shit, you will love this. I mean, if you're really into brutal death metal, you've probably heard of this because this is one of the most popular brutal death metal albums to come out around the past 10 or 11 years. But anyways, here's the album cover. Pretty cool. Not my favorite album cover ever, but it's sweet. I like the album, the logo. Spine text, it says, support the Bad Taste campaign. So that's funny. There's the back, you got the track listing. You got some pretty fucking, song titles like the kind of big words. You got I'll just read all the track listing. You got cannibalistic post-climax flesh consumption, sodomized epileptic chunks, masturbating the infibulated, syphilic menstrual rejection, wallowing in the aftermaths, euphoric state of dementia, innate butchery aptitude, draining necroanal disgorgement, and living decomposition. Not like the most hard to pronounce words or anything, but really long song titles. Kind of something that's very typical of this style of brutal death metal. I like that disc cover. It's the logo, close up of some art behind there. Booklet, we just got some pictures and all the lyrics. Close ups of the artwork. The lyrics on here, don't be fooled by the song titles. They're not all big words. I mean, let me just read some of them from the first song. One of my favorite lyrics is where is it? She drinks all my cum and satiate her hunger, but I need to eat her boobs. I snatch my lips with her teeth. Post-climax human flesh consumption. That shit's so goofy and over the top. I love it. But yeah, they've got the really stupid kind of gore lyrics. If you're in brutal death metal, that sort of thing has such a big charm. It's really fun. But anyways, so these guys, if you don't like blast beats, you might as well stay far away from this, because this is ridiculous. I mean, I don't think I've probably heard albums with more blast beats, but this album has just so much blasturbation on it, and I love it. Really great snare tone. It's not the most pingy thing ever, but it's a little more snappy sounding. If you like the None So Vile Cryptopsy snare, you'll probably like the snare on here. It's kind of like that, kind of a clicky sounding snare, but it's not really pingy or something like a Brodigan snare. It's not like that. The guitars are ridiculously down tuned. I want to say they're in G sharp or G standard. Just ridiculous, really fucking heavy sounding. The bass tone is amazing. Vocals are really devourment-y on here. I'd say it's a mixture of Ruben Rosas from Devourment and probably AJ Magana from Disgorge and Faded Sanity. But yeah, this shit is so good. If you just want a little over 20 minutes of just ridiculousness, then you'll like this. I mean, what's not to love if you're in a brutal death metal and you hear this? I mean, tons of blast beats, ridiculously down-tuned, super chunky guitar, very kind of clear but really thick sounding bass tone, and I think I already said devourment-y vocals, but I mean, it's just perfect, really. There's not really a bad thing I can say about this album. The songs aren't the hardest to follow, really, but they're very, I guess you could say, kind of forgettable, but in the sense of, it's not really that it's bad songwriting that makes them forgettable. It's just the style is so ridiculous that you really need to listen to this kind of stuff a lot to retain it. I'd say the first song on the album is definitely the best one. I mean, there's just some amazing kind of pinch harmonic-y riffs in there that are really catchy and very, they stick in your head a lot. There's also a lot of kind of slammy riffs on here, which is something I really like. Draining necroanal disgorgement. It's either that one or innate butchery aptitude. Has a really catchy slam towards the end, just super chunky and groovy sounding. yeah. So yeah, the first like 4 songs, you know, all straight blasturbation, great shit. Wallowing in the Aftermath is like kind of this little, it's like sample sort of track. Not a sample, but it's just like some like sound effects and stuff. It's like a little interlude. And then you have an 8-bit aptitude, draining necro disgorgement, and living decomposition. And then after living decomposition, there's like a fucking weird outro with like this like low pitched voice saying something. I can't really make out what it's saying, but it sounds fucking creepy. The production itself is one of my favorite things. It has such a like great wall of sound. It's super bassy and thick sounding. I mean, I don't think I could think of a louder sounding album. I mean, the CD for this is genuinely loud. When you listen to it with headphones, it's like the guitar and everything, like it sounds very thick and like almost overwhelmingly loud, but in a good way. Just ridiculously heavy shit. I mean, by like, in theory, this is like a perfect brutal death metal album. And there isn't really anything bad I could say about this. Like I said, it's kind of hard to retain a lot of the way the songs go. But even then, I mean, if you're into this style, that kind of comes with the nature of it. This isn't something I listen to all the time, but when I do listen to this, like, it just fucking hits. It's so good. Very aggressive, very fast. It's just very violent sounding, really. I mean, I can't think of a lot of albums beside this that when you think of it, or when you hear the music, you genuinely picture like gory shit. Like it brings that sort of imagery to mind when you listen to this because it's just so fucking violent sounding. I mean, obviously all brutal death metal is kind of like that, but this one really just, it just sounds fucking barbaric and like, I don't know if carnivorous is the right word. Like it literally sounds like a fucking monster. It's just so good. I keep saying it's good over and over, and that's such a shitty way of describing the album, but I can't really think of any other way of saying, like, if you're into brutal death metal, when you hear this, you will probably really like it. There's not really anything about this album to dislike, like I said, unless you're not a fan of blasturbation and you want more catchy, memorable songwriting. This probably isn't the place to go, but if you want ridiculously extreme shit, then you will like this. I think I would give this one like an 8 out of 10, maybe a 9. It's really fucking great, but it's not my favorite. But as far as modern brutal death metal goes, I'd say this might be the GOAT of like modern brutal death metal past like 2007, I guess. I don't know. If it weren't for this band, you wouldn't have shit like Carnal and stuff like that. You know, which those guys kind of stole this album cover, so I think that's funny. I don't know if it's a tribute or not. But yeah, there's a lot of Putridity worship bands out there, and for a reason. This is some great shit. If you're a fan of like Disgorge, you'll probably like this. And if you're a fan of the NSE bands, you'll like this too. But yeah, that's it for this review though. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have not listened to this album and you're into brutal death metal, you're missing out. This is their best album in my opinion. Their debut is really great as well, and their third album I'm not super familiar with, but I'm sure it's just as good. I mean, all their shit sounds pretty similar, but I think this one just happens to have the best production, and it's just my favorite one from them. It's probably their most popular as well. But yeah, so that's it for this review. Putridity's Degenerating Anthropophagical Euphoria. Go check it out. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.